At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Van Ravensway up and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Um, There's
Good
been
evening, Commissioners.
welcome. There's been a number of questions that perhaps you can shed some light for planning commissioners.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Apparently there's some interest in talking about our relationship with People's Church and what we might be doing. And it's true, we've been having some discussions with People's Church regarding their long-term parking issues. You know, the church is very enthusiastic about remaining in the downtown and remaining in that location, and they fully anticipate the continued growth of their membership. And they've always had concerns about their long-term parking needs. With the prospect of the City Center 2 project and the prospect of the loss of parking lot 8 in particular, they did have some concerns about, concerns about some of the more immediate parking issues regarding certain members of the church and their abilities relative to the parking structure. And so what we've agreed to do and what the Council of Elders has agreed to do as of last night is the City and the Council of Elders are entering into an agreement where together we would look at building a one-level parking facility on their existing parking site. I don't know if I can get that to come back up, but can you? Okay. And essentially, what we would look at doing is doubling the amount of parking that they have on that parking lot in that facility. And we would do one parking level half a grade below and one parking level above to give it a very small profile. We've always expressed the concern that as the planners to the city of not recommending that a massive parking structure represent the entrance into downtown East Lansing. We don't think it sends the right message. However, in working with People's Church, we believe that if we do a very low profile, two-level but one-story deck, and what Darcy is trying to show, maybe the bigger one to pass around with the commission. Last night, the Council of Elders had the opportunity to take a look at how we could put architecture on the one-level deck, so it essentially has a very low profile, but the architecture would blend in with the church. And it would essentially create twice as much parking on that site. And the arrangement that we've discussed is the church having exclusive use of the lower level, and then the city would have the use of the upper level. But on Sundays, it would be available for church services, and then it would be available to the church for funerals and weddings and other activities that they would have. So we would essentially double their parking capacity at certain times. We, in turn, as a city, would benefit by having potentially that additional parking to service any redevelopment prospects that might occur to the west of the church, to Delta Avenue. So the Council of Elders voted last night to enter into this agreement with the city. We will spend some time working on a process of looking at how we would do such a facility. I suspect that the church will probably be communicating this to the commission, by your April 9th meeting, and they probably will also communicate what their position will be on the City Center 2 project as well. So that's what's been going on with the People's Church.
Commissioner Clayton?
So is this now part of the site plan?
No.
Okay.
Now,
When will this
what
come to us?
I will clarify is, in all likelihood, the resources available to purchase or to build the parking facility will be generated by the tax increments of the City Center 2 project, but this would not be part of the site plan. We're a long ways away from even having a site plan per se, because we still have to work with the church and design it, and it's also being designed potentially in conjunction with the possible, hope they don't strike me down on this one, the possible expansion of the church to the west that might butt up to the, so we have a lot of joint planning to do before we would actually render a site plan, and so it's probably a year or two away. Plus, we wouldn't want to even touch that parking facility until the new parking ramp is completed, so that they would still have an alternate parking use while this was being constructed.
And will you do some kind of we do extensive studies before you bring this proposal to us after the other one's built?
Well, we'll do a lot of design and engineering studies,
Okay.
if that's what you mean.
I would just personally like to see us give this one a chance before we implement another parking structure in the city of East Lansing.
Well, we will be entering into an agreement with the church to move forward with the planning for such a facility, and obviously we'll share that with the commission as these plans unfold.
Okay. And where are you getting the demand for?
The church.
Okay. Well, yes, from what they're saying, but from the city's standpoint, do you see a significant enough demand to build a structure that would probably be incredibly expensive, such as what you brought forward to us?
Well, I wouldn't exactly agree with the incredibly expensive part of a one-level deck. That's probably the most, other than a surface parking lot, it's one of the most inexpensive.
Parking.
But it would suffice for the needs of the church in the long term, because they do have an interest in the long term. We have an interest in the overall parking plan in the long term as well. We have not built into the city center ramp a lot of surplus parking beyond the needs of that end of the downtown. So if we look to the west and we look at the ability of this parking facility, as small as it is, potentially assisting the redevelopment to the west, then it has a positive impact.
Have you considered doing retail on the first floor and doing a larger parking structure?
These are things that we have to discuss with the church.
Commissioner Sassi?
Is this parking structure in response to the shortening of, well, it's not up there, sorry, of lessening the size of the parking structure for City Center 2?
No.
They just happen to come up at the
same
same
time. Quite frankly, I think they're more concerned with the loss of the surface parking lot of parking lot 8, because as a certain portion of their membership ages, they have concerns about the mobility, and so
Sure.
they have been talking to us about this, frankly, for a long time.
Okay.
And it's just now, with the prospect of that parking lot actually being gone, now they would like...
A good time to move
It's a good
forward.
time to do it,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? Yes.
Were you allowed to ask about the theater aspect of things, or are you not addressing that? I thought you were addressing that part too.
It would be kind of premature right now for us to discuss what that possibility might be.
Okay, well, what can you tell us that would make us feel more comfortable with this?
Well, I do
So
know
this
that
is the worst what we're
there have
looking
been
at?
a lot of questions surfacing about how would a theater here conflict with what's going on at Hannah, and I think we can be prepared to answer that a little better at some future point. There is a lot of planning going on at the moment that hopefully we can address at some point in the near future.
Okay. I just wondered what you could tell us that make us more comfortable with all this new news.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Van Ravensway.